Cornerback Jermod McCoy is one of the best players in the SEC. Absolutely a top 100 player in college football. One publication agrees with me. We'll discuss right here on Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols, your spot for Tennessee football news and entertainment every single weekday morning when you wake up. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all that and more. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day. Every day is your shows tomorrow, so please send in your questions, comments, concerns. We'll talk about those Tuesday on the show right here on Locked On Vols. I am your host, Eric Cain, and part of the VolQuest.com team covering Tennessee Volunteers, and of course, every single weekday right here on Locked On Vols. Today's episode is brought to you in part by the good people over at Monarch Money. Take your control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Monarch Money. Jermod McCoy, top 100 college football player ahead of the 2025 season. Duh, but where does he rank according to On3? And who was on this list from Tennessee last year? That's coming up in a matter of moments. Tennessee baseball, an 8 seed heading into the SEC tournament. Not a great weekend down in Fayetteville. Well, that's pretty much been the case the last 6 weeks. We'll discuss that as Tennessee now enters this next phase of the season, which is postseason, coming up in segment number 3. And then opponent win total and title odds for Tennessee football in 2025. A couple of surprising ones coming up in segment number 2. A loaded show starting now right here on Locked On Vols. So On3 does a top 100 college football player list ahead of the football season every single year. I'm sure ESPN does it. I'm sure CBS Sports does it. I mean, again, we're in the heart of list season here in late May ahead of the college football season. But On3 unveiled theirs last week, and one Tennessee football player was listed in the top 100, and that's Jermod McCoy. And, you know, when I did my Boo Carter show last week and talked about if you had to pick one Tennessee football player right now over anybody, who would it be? And I said Boo Carter. I did put the caveat in there, well, Jermod McCoy's coming off an injury. With a healthy Jermod McCoy, I mean, he's the pick hands down. And obviously that's how On3 is viewing this right now. Jermod McCoy coming in at number 17. Number 17 on the list of top 100 players is Jermod McCoy, according to On3. This is what the columnist that made this list had to say about Jermod McCoy, that being Clark Brooks over at On3. And here's what he had to say about Jermod McCoy. McCoy blossomed during his sophomore season. He's fluid and fast with pretty good results, shielding targets. His 11 overall forced incompletions are the most of any returning SEC DB, specializing as a zone cover corner. Only 2 returning cornerbacks top his 87.5 PFF grade, spot dropping. Jermod McCoy is a really, really good cornerback. We know that, right? He came in to college as an athlete, really as a wide receiver, saw an opportunity at Oregon State on the defensive side of the football, ran with it, and, played a lot as a true freshman, and then ultimately entered the transfer portal, came over to Tennessee, and that's, his career's not done here, but it's been pretty good so far. He was an All-American as a sophomore. We know that. He was an All-SEC guy, a really, really, really good player and the jewel of that transfer portal class for the Volunteers last offseason. You couple him with Ricky Gibson, couple him with Boo Carter. It's a pretty stout secondary when everybody's healthy, and we'll get into that here in just a moment. But it got me thinking. So, of course, there's no other Tennessee football player on this list, and in case you're wondering, On3's top, I'll give you the top 10. Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State, number 1. Hard to argue that. Dylan Stewart, edge rusher for South Carolina. He's a good player. At number 2, Caleb Downs, safety of Ohio State, number 3. Colin Simmons, edge rusher for Texas, number 4. Sam Levitt, Arizona State, coming off a college football playoff appearances, number 5. Ryan Williams, think he's 18 now. He comes in there at number 6, wide receiver for Alabama. Leonard Moore, cornerback of Notre Dame, the only other cornerback ahead of Jermod McCoy on this list, coming in at number 7. Lenora Sellers, a lot of stock from Lenora Sellers, South Carolina starting quarterback, coming in there at number 8. Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker of Texas, coming in at number 9. And then Arch Manning, who has not ever been a starting quarterback before in his college tenure, comes in there at number 10. A couple other SEC players on the list ahead of Jermod McCoy. Garrett Nussmeier. You've got DJ Lagway, so on and so forth. But Jermod McCoy coming in there at number 17. So it got me thinking, this list last year, what Tennessee football players were on the list of top 100 college football players ahead of the 2024 season. Only one. And I had to remind myself kind of where he was on this list when I looked it up. Of course, it was James Pierce because he was having all the hype of the offseason, and Pro Football Focus had him as maybe the number 1 overall pick. And I mean, it was a lot going on with James Pierce this time last year. He came in at number 1 overall on this list last year per On3 ahead of the 2024 season. And, James Pierce had a good year. I mean, did he have the best overall year of any college football player? No, he didn't win the Heisman, but his sacks were down a little bit, and at times I think that he didn't help himself out a little enough in terms of letting go of the quarterback in the backfield and all that. However, his pressure rates were up. His quarterback hits and quarterback hurries were up. There wasn't hardly anybody in the country that pressured the quarterback more than James Pierce did, according to Pro Football Focus stats. And ultimately, he went on to become a first-round draft pick. And I mean, it's pretty good. It's hard to argue that. I mean, was he the number 1 overall player of the 2024 season? No, but he was still a first-round draft pick. So again, I'm not going to call that a miss. I'm not going to call that a major miss. I'm not going to call that a bust because he was a first-round draft pick. But only one Tennessee football player was on that list in 2024, and that was James Pierce Jr. So this whole conversation kind of got me thinking again, going back to the conversation we had last week. And if you didn't catch last week's show, I'll kind of reset it. If you're picking any Tennessee football player right now to join your backyard football team, or, if you're doing that thing me and Boogie do every single year, the Tennessee player draft, and you have the number 1 overall pick, who you picking? And I put the caveat in there that Jermod McCoy is injured right now, so I'm not going to have him in this conversation. But I picked Boo Carter. And so my list in terms of top Tennessee football players, if you want to break this down specifically, McCoy when healthy 1, Boo Carter 2, Ricky Gibson 3, Joshua Josephs 4. I'm reaching here, but Deshaun Bishop 5 maybe couple that with Peyton Lewis or the Tennessee run game. Mike Matthews 6. And when you see this list right here, what's all that tell you? Well, there's a lot of defenders on that list, okay? There's a lot of secondary members on that list. The first 3 are from the secondary. So, again, how far we've come in the last couple of years, right? Whenever, fans wanted to complain about the secondary, and all the secondary did was kind of get better, just chip away. I think there's only been one season where the secondary regressed in, passing yards allowed per game, and I think that was from the 22 season to the 23 season or whatever that was. Only one season where they regress in that regard. But overall, just like the entire defense has gotten better. And we're sitting here thinking, like, there's not a lot of proven commodities in terms of playmakers on the offensive end. Mike Matthews can be that guy, but he's got to go out and prove it. Really, Deshaun Bishop, Peyton Lewis as well. Quarterback Nico Iamaleava is not here anymore. Joey Aguilar's got a lot to prove, and or Jake Merklinger. On the offensive line, a lot of guys that are new, but I think it's going to be pretty good, but I still got to see it. So it's kind of funny when you make your own list here. There's a lot of defenders, specifically a lot of secondary members. Arian Carter could be on this list, I think. In the interior, Jackson Moy, Bryson Easton could be on this list. But overall, McCoy, Boo Carter, Ricky Gibson, what's that tell you? It tells you got a pretty good secondary. And, you got Jalen McMurray. You added Colton Hood into that mix. Safety, again, is going to be the big question mark, as it is the last couple of years. But you do bring back a returner in Andre Turrentine. You have 2 young guys that you really like in Idris Farouk and Caleb Beasley, and we'll see what these young freshmen are all about. As we talked about on Friday's show, if you didn't catch Friday's show, I had Kevin Borba on, a host of Locked On Buffs, Colorado Buffaloes. He told me all about Colton Hood. Some really good insider notes there on Colton Hood from the transfer portal edition that Tennessee got a couple weeks ago. But I love this secondary. I love the versatility of the secondary, but it starts with a healthy Jermod McCoy. Jermod McCoy, the top 100 player in college football, according to On3, at number 17. James Pierce was number 1 on this list last year, but Jermod McCoy at number 17. So 2 straight years, Tennessee only has 1 top 100 college football player, according to On3. Last year, the Volunteers went to the college football playoff, so it wasn't that big of a deal. What's the case this year? A lot more questions that need to be answered, but still a lot of talent on this roster. What say you? Anybody else from Tennessee that should be on this list of top 100 college football players? And is McCoy too low? Would love to hear you. Again, send in those questions, comments, concerns, whatever you guys got for the mailbag edition of the show coming up on a Tuesday, Locked On Vols. When we come back, though, opponent win totals. How many teams does Tennessee, how many opponents for the college football season for Tennessee are the Volunteers behind in terms of win totals? Not that many. Might surprise you. Coming up next, right here on Locked On Vols. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, your investments, spending in one place, so you stop just managing money, you start building wealth. How's that sound? When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much money I was spending on food delivery, online shopping, stuff like that. Now I budget smarter and I save so much more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, I use Monarch to check my finances, track my spending, even plan long-term goals. You can take control of your finances just like I did with Monarch Money. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Check it all out today. It's over at Monarch Money. Meant to say this in segment number 1 when we were discussing Jermod McCoy, but obviously he's getting a lot of offseason hype as well. Not as much as James Pierce was last year, but still getting a whole lot of first-round love. And I mean, there's been a ton of early mock drafts that had Jermod McCoy mocked as a first-rounder. The Athletic has Jermod McCoy at 11th overall to the Rams. Again, it's always funny whenever they put teams through these mocks because they're just basically saying, hey, the Rams are not going to be very good this year, or the Dolphins or whoever it is not going to be very good this year. Todd McShay has Jermod McCoy going number 13 overall to the Dolphins. ESPN has Jermod McCoy going number 14 to the Miami Dolphins. CBS Sports has Jermod McCoy going number 20 overall to the LA Chargers. So Jermod McCoy getting a whole lot of love ahead of the 2025 season, as he should, a very, very good football player. Okay, so win totals. FanDuel went through and kind of shuffled up some things and updated the 2025 SEC win totals ahead of the college football season. We know Tennessee's win total. Tennessee's win total is 8.5. It was at 9.5, but when Nico Iamaleava transferred out, it dropped down to 8.5. It did not change when Tennessee went out and got Joey Aguilar, nor should it have, because, of course, he was been at Appalachian State the last couple of years. Yes, he spent the spring at UCLA. He was going to be the starting quarterback, but when you bring in the Iamaleava brothers, somebody's, got to go, and that was Joey Aguilar, and, of course, he lands here at Tennessee. So, Tennessee win total coming off a college football playoff with a returning starting quarterback, a lot of returners on defense. FanDuel thought Tennessee was good enough for 9.5 wins at that win total right there, dropping it down to 8.5. So we look at the updated win totals for the SEC, and you see Tennessee right there in that second grouping at 8.5. Alabama sitting up there at the top with Georgia at 9.5 and Texas at 9.5. LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, all in a grouping of 8.5. You have Auburn, Missouri, South Carolina, and Texas A&M at 7.5. Florida is at 6.5, along with Oklahoma. You have Arkansas at 5.5, Kentucky at 4.5, Vanderbilt at 4.5, and you have Mississippi State there at 3.5. So, again, there's still some surprises there for me. Again, this is the Tennessee Volunteers podcast. I do not like the Florida Gators, never have liked the Florida Gators, never will. But the fact that Florida's win total is at 6.5, I mean, I'm not a financial planner here. I don't give betting advice, but goodness gracious. According to the FanDuel, take that over and run with it at 6.5. And it's funny here because you have two quarterbacks that are being so hyped up this offseason in John Mateer, DJ Lagway, and both of those win totals are sitting at 6.5. Lenore Sellers as well. Everybody loves them. Some of Lenore Sellers. That win total is only at 7.5. Auburn being at 7.5, no clue why. It makes no sense to me. I don't think again, they've got some pieces, don't get me wrong, but overall, I don't like the roster as much as I like Tennessee's, and, well, we've seen what Jackson Arnold can do, right? But I encourage you here to look at this. Well, let me hit this note here in just a second. How many opponents have a greater win total than Tennessee, projected win total than Tennessee? Only 2. Tennessee's 8.5 projected win total is more than any other SEC opponent that it will face this fall, except, of course, Georgia and Alabama, that are one more at 9.5. Okay, nobody in the SEC's projected double-digit wins this season in terms of the win totals right now, but Georgia, Alabama, Texas, the two opponents for Tennessee being Georgia and Alabama, projected at 9.5, and that is the only teams that Tennessee will play in SEC play that have a projected higher win total. So Tennessee is ranked higher in terms of win total than 6 of their 8 opponents. Not bad. Georgia's plus 700 to win the national championship. That is second. Alabama is plus 1,300 to win the national championship. That's on down the list a little bit. Syracuse, we're talking SEC win totals here, but in case you're wondering, Syracuse is, let's see here. Tennessee's a 12.5-point favorite over Syracuse at FanDuel. We know that. Their projected win total is 5.5. So they got a lot of questions. I mean, it's still a big opening weekend for Tennessee down there in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, but that projected win total is 5.5, and they're at plus 40,000 to win the national championship, in case you're wondering. But I'm going to plot this graphic right back up here if you're watching on YouTube, these 2025 college football win totals per FanDuel. Look at all of the opponents that Tennessee is going to play this year and look at the number beside them. Again, we've mentioned Tennessee's already got, the win total is higher than 6 of its 8 opponents. The 2 being Alabama and Georgia sitting there at 9.5. They're ahead of them. But look, Tennessee does not play Texas. Tennessee does not play LSU. Tennessee does not play Ole Miss. Tennessee does not play Auburn, and Tennessee does not play Missouri. So look over to the right side of that column, the 2 columns. Tennessee does not play South Carolina. Tennessee does not play Texas A&M. Tennessee plays Florida at 6.5. Tennessee plays Oklahoma at 6.5. Tennessee plays Arkansas at 5.5. Tennessee plays Kentucky at 4.5. Tennessee plays Vanderbilt at 4.5. And Tennessee plays Mississippi State at 3.5. So Tennessee, according to FanDuel, the bottom 6 teams in the league in terms of win total are on Tennessee football schedule in 2025. So again, this kind of goes back to the same conversation we've been having. Yes, Nico left Tennessee. Nico's now at the UCLA. Was Nico the reason Tennessee was a college football playoff team last year? No, he was not. Did he start every single game? And was he the quarterback of your team? Yes, he was. Now, I'm not trying to act like he didn't do things to help Tennessee win or he was this huge anchor that held Tennessee back the entire year. I'm not trying to act like that either way. But that is a loss. He did lead. However, I'll continue to beat this drum. Tennessee won on defense last year. Tennessee won on a run game last year. Tennessee's collection of running backs, I like. It's not going to be a one-trick pony in terms of a workhorse in Dylan Sampson. I don't think Tennessee's going to rush for nearly 3,000 yards, but Tennessee will run for over 2,500 yards this year because it's done it every single year Josh Heupel's been here. You're going to have a run game, okay? You're going to have a defense. So if Nico was more than anything being a game manager last year against, and again, I'm going to plot these teams up here. Look at those bottom 6 teams here. Florida, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. FanDuel doesn't think they're going to be very great teams this year. Those teams are on Tennessee's schedule. Why can't Tennessee hit that over at 9 wins at least and be knocking on the door to the college football playoff? Again, like you see Urban Meyer on his podcast and all these national people just talking about how Tennessee's doomed. Like, are you kidding me? Look at the win totals. Look at the schedule. Look at the roster. Look at the returners. Anybody thinking Tennessee's going to be a train wreck this year, I got no time for you. Is it going to be perfect? No. Will there be growing pains? Absolutely. Are there more questions than Tennessee's had in the last couple of years combined? Yes. I'm not shying away from any of that. And Tennessee's got to have a quarterback that doesn't turn the football over. That's a massive question. I recognize all that. But based on how Nico played for Tennessee last year, it was more of a game manager. You can't tell me that Joey Aguilar, with all of his experience, his gunslinger mentality, can be coached up by Josh Heupel, protect the football, and be good enough to get Tennessee to 9 wins with this roster and this schedule. Come on now. Opportunities are endless there, in my opinion, except double-digit wins. I don't see that happening. But still, we'll see what happens. Crazier things have happened. Nobody thought Tennessee in 2022 was going to win 10 games, and they did that in the regular season, won an Orange Bowl. So what say you? What do you think about these updated win totals per SEC, and specifically Tennessee's opponents? Schedule lines up nice. Showed you the bottom 6 teams in terms of win totals in the SEC are on Tennessee's schedule. Tennessee's key out-of-conference game is Syracuse. According to FanDuel, they think they're going to be at 5.5. That's the win total. Schedule's in your favor. Everything's in front of you. Go out there and do it, and let the chips fall where they may. Tennessee baseball, time to turn it on. Regular season's over. Not a great end of the regular season, but Tennessee heads into Hoover trying to click into another gear and try to phase out of this horrific month of April or May and end of April. And how's it going to do that? We'll discuss Tennessee's regular season, some awards, all that and more coming up next right here on your Locked On Vols Monday show. All right, guys, it is still baseball season. It's not been the best or most fun. I know. Not the sharpest tool in the shed. You guys know that. But still, it's a baseball team that has provided a lot of excitement and entertainment for this program the last couple of years. Obviously, won a national championship last year, and there's been a whole lot of new, like, diehard Tennessee baseball fans that have kind of jumped on that bandwagon the last couple of years. And this season's been tough. This season has been tough. Tennessee dropped another series to end the regular season, won Thursday's game 1 at Arkansas, but dropped Friday and Saturday's games 2 and 3. And for the 5th straight week, Tennessee has lost a series, and Tennessee dropped the final 6 of 7 series to end the regular season. Tennessee had a winning record in SEC play overall at 16-14, but Tennessee only won 4 SEC series, and it lost 6 SEC series. Now, why Tennessee still has an overall winning record in SEC, Tennessee had 2 sweeps in those series wins, South Carolina and Florida. Tennessee was never swept on the season, okay? Tennessee at least had 1 win, setting up an astronomically high 8 rubber matches this season where Tennessee finished 2-6 in said games. Not great. It was frustrating. You know, you had a whole lot of confidence in game 1. Offense overall this weekend, did it leave so many men on base? Yes, it did. Okay, it did. And so I'm not trying to shy away from that. Games 1 and 2 still hit pretty well with runners in scoring position. 347 was the average, 8 for 23 with runners in scoring position in games 1 and 2. Tennessee scored 10 runs in game 1. Tennessee scored 6 runs in game 2. So if you watch Tennessee baseball the last month, it's not been scoring a lot of runs. So that was a welcome sight. Now, Sunday was a different story. Tennessee scored 4 runs, struck out 14 times. It left, let's see here, I've got it right here. It left, thought I had it right here somewhere. It left 9 men on base, so hitting wasn't that great in the Saturday finale, the Game 3 finale, but overall the issues were pitching all weekend long. It was pitching. Tennessee, no lead felt safe. Tennessee had a 4-2 lead at one point in Thursday's game. Tennessee had a 7-4 lead at one point in Tennessee in that game, and it felt like no lead was ever safe, and Tennessee still was able to win because the offense went off in game 1. But that 10-7 score still felt like even closer. It was a disastrous third inning for Tennessee in the finale where a balk call, major call in this game, led to an equally massive play in this game, an error by Dean Curley at second base that allowed the tying run to score, and then a couple of walks, loaded the bases, and then a grand slam, and that's all she wrote. That was a turning point in the series, and that was in inning number 3 of the series finale. And Tennessee was really never able to, kind of recover from that. And then really the story from game 2 was Tennessee mixed up its starting rotation because it wanted to keep Liam Doyle on normal day rest. He's been dealing with a blister. And so he pitched and started in that Friday game, but he didn't have it. Location wasn't there. Arkansas, one of the best offensive teams in the country. They just kept hitting him. And Liam Doyle lasted only 4 innings and 2/3, gave up a season-high 6 earned runs, 8 runs, but 6 of those were earned. That is a season high. Still had double-digit strikeouts, 10 strikeouts to 2 walks, 104 pitches. So many people have been asking, was the blister an issue? I mean, I don't know. He threw 104 pitches and never paid attention to it, so I would assume not. I would credit Arkansas just to being really, really good and Liam Doyle to not being as sharp as he usually is on that day. So that's the frustrating part. You had game 1 in hand, thanks to some really, really good relief outings from A.J. Russell, big-time moments from Dylan Lloyd, Tanner Franklin, following the start of Marcus Phillips. You had that one, and then you had your ace on the mound there in game 2 to take the series. And it's hard not to feel confident in that regard, but it's baseball, it's cruel, and Liam Doyle just didn't have his best showing. So all in all, I guess what I'm trying to say is the way Tennessee ended the regular season, the pitching was very frustrating, okay? The hitting at times with runners on was frustrating because they left too many men on. But overall, the offense gave you some encouraging signs. The offense was much, much better. I mean, you look at the series stats, and Andrew Fisher was phenomenal, but he's been phenomenal all year long. By the way, led the SEC with 22 home runs. More on that here in a moment. Dean Curley was your second best hitter on the weekend with a 500 average. Manny Marin at the bottom of the order had a 400 average. Levi Clark had a fantastic series at DH, hit 375. Reese Chapman hit 333 on the weekend. Cannon Peebles had a massive home run in that game one. He had over 300 over the weekend. Really, it was Gavin Keelan, your leadoff hitter, Dalton Bargo, your cleanup hitter, and Hunter Inslee, your number 3 hitter. And those 3 guys, really, Dalton Bargo and Hunter Inslee, have been so good all year long. It was the top of your order that gave you struggles in Fayetteville this weekend, to be completely honest. And even Dalton Bargo still had a massive game. He had 2 home runs in game, I guess it was game 1. Still, he had a really big series, but only hit 214 on the weekend. So encouraging signs. And I'm not trying to say moral victories here, but when you've played bad baseball the last 6 weeks, seeing the offense do what it did this past weekend at least gives you some good feelings heading into postseason play. Now, what does postseason play look like? Okay, well, Tennessee is going to be the 8th seed heading into postseason play, and I'm trying to find the graphic here, tournament graphic. All right, I'm going to show this on the screen right now if you can see it. It's not a very good picture. I apologize. Anyway, this is the bracket, as you can see. Tennessee's right down here at the 8th seed. It will be the first game on Wednesday morning, okay? 9:30 local, 10:30 Eastern. Tennessee, the 8th seed, will play host to the winner of Alabama, which is the 9th seed, or Missouri, the number 16 seed. If Tennessee wins that game Wednesday morning, it'll turn around and at 4 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday afternoon, it will play the top seed in Texas. And probably going to get the number 1 starter, because once you get to Thursday, because all the series were Thursday, Friday, Saturday this past week, you're going to get to the weekend rotation. So that's going to be a challenge. But, RPI opportunities big time with Alabama potentially, in Texas for sure, if Tennessee wins that game, that opening game. But Tennessee gets the 8th seed. You see the graphic right here. You see the bracket, all these different matchups. Why does Tennessee get the 8th seed when Ole Miss, which was, tied with Tennessee? Let's see here. Ole Miss and Alabama finished with the same mark in conference play that Tennessee did at 16-14. But because these 3 teams didn't all play one another, it goes to kind of a funky tiebreaker system. What it is despite owning head-to-head matchups with Ole Miss and Alabama, that's why a lot of Tennessee fans think Tennessee should have been the 7th seed. The Rebels got the 7th seed, the Crimson Tide the 9th seed, and Tennessee the 8th seed because of common opponents. Auburn and Vanderbilt were the common opponents for all 3 teams, and records against those 2 teams was best for Ole Miss at 6-3, Tennessee was 5-4, and Alabama was 3-6. So based on SEC tournament or SEC seeding tiebreakers, when 3 teams or 4 teams are kind of log jammed together, if they don't all play one another, it goes to common opponents, and then it goes to record against those common opponents, and that is how we got the seeding there, with Ole Miss 7, Tennessee 8, and Alabama at 9. Texas is the 1 seed, Arkansas is the 2 seed, LSU's the 3 seed, Vanderbilt's the 4 seed, Georgia's the 5 seed, Auburn is the 6 seed, Ole Miss the 7 seed, Tennessee the 8, Alabama the 9, Florida the 10 seed, Mississippi State the 11 seed, Oklahoma the 12 seed, Kentucky the 13th seed, Texas A&M the 14th seed, South Carolina the 15th seed, and Missouri the 16th seed. And we'll see if Tennessee can look better in the SEC tournament. What needs to happen for Tennessee to host? Well, you'll start seeing all these projections coming out today and a little bit tomorrow. Tennessee was holding on by a thread by On3's projections and Baseball America's Field of 64 projections. I think On3 had them as the 15th seed, and Baseball America had Tennessee as the 16th overall seed. Top 16 seeds host a regional. D1 Baseball had Tennessee as the number 2 seed in the Morgantown regional, so they already had them bumped out. Tennessee's not going to be on the host line at all in these projections this week, but could a couple of wins in Hoover change things? Potentially. Again, I mentioned RPI opportunities. Alabama, top 10 RPI. Texas, very, very much up there in terms of RPI and strength of schedule, or not strength of schedule, but RPI. There's some opportunities there for Tennessee to make up some ground, but barring a serious run in Hoover, I'm talking 2, 3, 4 wins, getting to the weekend, winning the whole thing. Right now, it's tough for me to think that the selection committee is going to award Tennessee a hosting line with the Volunteers losing 6 of the past 7 weekend series and 5 straight. That just doesn't sit well with me in terms of what I think the committee will do. But anyway, opportunities are there, okay? Tennessee plays better on the road. So honestly, if I'm a fan, I kind of want them to be on the road more than anything because they played much better on the road this year. But ultimately, Tennessee's just got to put it together. It kind of is who it is. I mean, this is not the 2024 team. That was a historic offensive lineup. You had some dogs on the mound, okay? This team has got so much talent. That has never been in question. This team has so much talent. But it's got some issues in the bullpen. It's had some issues in the lineup at points of times this year. Just is who it is. And this is the Tennessee baseball team. So much talent, but it's flawed, just like a lot of baseball teams out there. But like Florida last year, like Ole Miss in 2022, sometimes these teams get really, really hot at the right time. And now is that time to flip that switch and get hot. And we'll see if Tennessee can do just that. So very frustrating regular season, very frustrating SEC season for Tennessee. But here's the good part. It's a new season now. Tennessee goes down to Hoover. The 8 seed will play Tuesday morning. So when you're at work, you'll be able to dual screen a little bit. You'll have your work on one monitor. You'll have Tennessee baseball on the other. You can listen to John Wilkerson on the Ball Radio Network as well. I'm going to be down there looking forward to it. It's Wednesday morning. So exciting times, and we'll see exactly what happens for Tennessee down there in Hoover. Hey, don't forget your questions, your comments, your concerns. Get those in at _Cain or at Locked On Balls. Mailbag Tuesday. Talk to me Tuesday. We'll spend some time answering all those and more on a Tuesday Locked On Balls. I've got the re-rankings of the 2023 recruiting class coming up at some point this week. Josh Ward's going to join us. We'll see if Tennessee football makes any news this week. I wouldn't rule that out here in the near future. All that and more coming up right here on a Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys as always. Send in those questions, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.